Welcome to Mo's Market Pulse. I'm your host, Sara Mokaram, founder of Mo Digital Solutions, where we help businesses hit their revenue goals and thrive. On this podcast, we talk with industry leaders about their business, market trends, growth strategies, and what's ahead. Today, I'm excited to have Jennifer Nuckles, CEO of R0. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking time today to join us.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to explore R0's journey, your leadership, and where you're headed in this rapidly evolving market. So I'd just like to start by setting the stage, though, and hear what first drew you to the intersection of biosafety and technology and what brought you to R0.
Sure. So I was on the board of R0 beginning in 2020, and I took the CEO and chairperson seat at the end of 2022. I've had a very long career, about 30 years, working in technology. And there are a number of industries that I'm hyper passionate about, all of which end up being highly regulated industries. So, what I have done in the course of my career is use technology to improve antiquated solutions. And one of those solutions is the built environment, which is what R0 focuses on. And the value proposition that we provide to all of our clients is the ability to make their buildings run more efficiently. And by that, I mean using technology to make their buildings smarter and consume less energy, which is a core passion of mine.
Great. So, can you explain a little bit more about how the actual platform works and actually solves that issue?
Yeah. So R0 has three different components. We have our hardware solutions, we have our software solutions, and we have our data platform. And all three work in concert together, or they can work standalone for our clients, depending on what the client's needs are. And our clients are predominantly within commercial real estate, healthcare, education, and the public sector, namely large industries that have large real estate portfolios. What we do is we install hardware solutions throughout the buildings that monitor and measure what is happening in the buildings, from occupancy to movement to utilization to workflows. We then use those data metrics into our R0 Connect, which is our platform, and we measure, monitor, and mitigate all of the insights that our customers are trying to understand. We do this by integrating through APIs to the building management systems. So, for example, in a building, many of us live in cities and we see buildings running 24/7, lit up, they're cooled and heated regardless of the temperature outside. What R0 allows our clients to do is understand how those buildings have been used and run the heating, the cooling, the electricity where the building needs it, essentially where the people are on the room, floor, total building level.
That's great. And now that we know a little bit about R0, looking back at your leadership journey from SoFi to, I know, Doctor on Demand to other companies, how have those past experiences really shaped how you lead R0 today?
So after business school, I have an MBA from Harvard. After business school, I spent about 10 years at Clorox. What Clorox trains you to do is become a general manager. So working in a highly matrixed organization, partnering with product development, research and development, engineering, sales, marketing, and really running your P&L. So I did that for a number of years, running household brands that many of us have heard of, including Clorox Liquid Bleach, Brita, Hidden Valley. Many people don't know that Clorox is actually a holding company that comprises the number one or two market leadership in a variety of categories, from food to cleaning. And after that, I made a couple of moves to go into tech. I'm deeply wedded to technology. I've been living in the Bay Area for 30 years. I went to Berkeley prior to the first dot-com bust. And so I'm really, really interested in technology. I took the insights and the learnings that I had gained from a decade in brand management, and I went and ran product and marketing at a late stage startup. And from there, I started working really closely with investors in the Valley who then asked me to do other roles. So I became the chief marketing officer of Zynga, which is It was a publicly traded gaming company. And then from there, I went and I ran the financial services and enterprise content and insights businesses at SoFi. So I think the through line in my career is using technology to disrupt industries that haven't been disrupted before. So, for example, Zynga was competing with first console gaming, and this is through web-based platform at Zynga, and then moved that into the mobile phone utilization. SoFi was competing with traditional banks and launching a fintech that allowed consumers to have readily available access to all financial instruments from their phone. And I think what's really important is knowing how you work as a leader with various functions, how you can look through the trees and see the forest. And I do that with everything I do at R0, meaning number one, making sure that we're guided by our North Star, understanding the macro environment, and understanding the point of disruption that we offer our clients.
Great. And so now zooming out a little bit to the market, what major shifts or trends are you seeing in the indoor health and biosafety market?
Yeah, so there's been a number of shifts over the past 5 years. We're all seeing major macro changes right now, including changing administration, rising costs of energy, the onset of hybrid work, the changing utilization of cities as more and more people either leave cities or real estate portfolios are imagined. And so I think the largest trends are number one, rising cost of energy. It's becoming much more expensive to run buildings. Number two, you couple that with the scarcity of energy, and energy has been significantly constrained because of the onset of innovation, specifically around AI. AI is a term that's used all over the place. We've obviously at R0 been using AI for years and years, over 5 years, since even before the immediate onset of AI in the past 6 months. But the point in time that we're operating in right now is a creation of data centers. And what's happening with data centers being created in many markets is they consume and use more energy that's available on the grid. And this is becoming globally even more important. If you think about what happened in Spain just a week ago, the entire country went dark because they were relying on resilience grids. This is going to become even more essential in the United States with energy consumption increasing, and then you couple that with the rising cost of energy. I think the third really important thing that's happening right now in the macro environment is that the market is pretty uncertain. And so you see states really becoming much more involved in their local activities and local government. And you see the federal government focusing on different things. And what that results in is a hyper focus on cost efficiency. So companies across the board, all of our customers are looking for reductions in operating costs.
So, would you say that in terms of customer needs or expectations is really to reduce the cost? Is that what's really driving?
I think that's first and foremost is making sure that businesses operate as efficiently as possible. That's from both data accumulation, operating budgets, headcount being used in the most applicable ways. A lot of jobs right now can be much more efficient because of the use of AI. And so we're seeing that across the board in terms of automation solutions. And so I think, especially in the vertical that we're focused on, property owners and asset managers are really looking to cut their energy costs as well as reduce some of their lease risks, meaning that they have steady predictability as to what's happening with their assets, which are typically the most expensive items on their balance sheet.
Makes sense. And from your perspective, what makes your approach or solution really stand out compared to other players or emerging competitors right now?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. So we really focus on the landlords and the owners, operators. So we have a multi-sensor portfolio that will allow the owners of the buildings to understand what's happening in their portfolio, meaning they can use predictive analytics and our data modeling to understand from one building how that replicates to the entire portfolio. This allows for modeling that ensures that their portfolio is used in the most efficient way going forward. Second of all, I think that a lot of competitors are focused on tenant solutions, and tenants over the past several years have really focused on utilization insights, meaning how are they using their spaces? What's the right size of their real estate needs? How should they renegotiate their lease terms? We're approaching it from the owner operator perspective. And then the third differentiating point for us is because we have both our data platform as well as our hardware and software solutions, we are able to integrate into building management systems to provide real-time building controls that then do allow for reduction of HVAC, heating and cooling, reduction of lighting, which will save significant dollars. Just to put that in perspective, US commercial real estate uses $190 billion of energy a year. And the Department of Energy has estimated that 30% of that is wasted. That's $60 billion a year that's wasted. And our results in market are that we can save our customers 10 to 30% of their energy. So it's significantly meaningful dollars.
Is a lot. That does give
Yeah.
a good perspective on what a solution like this could save. So, are there any specific industry or market forces that frustrate you or keep you up at night?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things. I think commercial real estate and prop tech is pretty siloed. So when you're looking for building owners to make decisions, typically you have to work with stakeholders that range everywhere from the CFO, the office of the CFO, to the building engineers. And I think making sure that each stakeholder speaks to one another and is working together is really important because we allow for a turnkey solution. But if one of the stakeholders isn't involved, oftentimes it slows or doesn't progress. I think another barrier right now is the abundance of data. Many commercial real estate building owners have excessive data at their fingertips and actually don't know what to do with it. And so it's kind of a data overload. Making what we do is we make everything through dashboard solutions so that the insights are real time, readily available. We have billions and billions of data points that are available on the nanosecond so that building owners can understand exactly what decisions they're making at a single moment in time. And so I think those are a couple big things. And then I think also just the uncertainty of the macro environment is also causing both headwinds and tailwinds because entities are needing to make long-term decisions for their assets, which lease lives last 20 years. So this is a pretty important inflection point right now where technology is replacing these antiquated solutions and automation is possible.
And so, shifting gears now to your guys' growth, what have been the most successful strategies so far in driving your growth and customer adoption?
Yeah. So again, because we are a B2B business, we focus on large real estate owners. These would be real estate investment trusts. These would be large asset owners that actually occupy their buildings as well. And so I think the biggest strategies that have worked for us is delivering an immediate ROI. Right now, we allow our customers to recoup their investment in as soon as a year, which is a pretty significant savings for all of our customers. They're typically looking for an ROI of 5 years or less, and we pay back in a year. We also have a unique pricing model, which is called efficiency as a service, where we allow for all of the risk to be absorbed by R0 and the products to be installed and the solutions to be utilized to reduce energy consumption. And if the savings aren't resulted, then the client doesn't pay anything. As the savings do result, we essentially take a rev share of those savings. So it's low, zero risk to customers and the upside is shared. The other thing that we do just in terms of integration is we remove the complexity from integration. Many buildings rely on outdated, siloed systems that weren't designed to communicate. So we have an open platform. We have open APIs. So we allow for incremental upgrades instead of full expensive system overhauls, which are really disruptive to our customers.
And where do you feel your team is still struggling to break through, whether it's customer education, brand positioning, or reaching new segments?
Yeah. Look, we're a venture backed company. We've been in existence for 5 years. I think commercial real estate is a very established market, a lot, and it's very fragmented. There's solutions that are offered by HVAC providers, there's solutions that are offered by lighting providers, there's the building architects, there's the design firms. And so, really important for new solutions to come to market and to not just accept status quo, especially given the preponderance of buildings in the US are retrofits versus new builds. And so it's much more important to fix existing construction and make it operate efficiently than focus on new construction. And so for us, just continuing to drive education and awareness around the solution. We have case studies in spades that demonstrate the cost savings as well as addressing of the the customer pain points. So it's really just essential for us to talk to the right stakeholders who are looking to make decisions.
Do you feel that majority of these commercial clients are actively looking for solutions like this, or are they still needing to be educated on what the possibilities are?
I think that they are actively looking to solve a pain point, which is skyrocketing energy costs, operating budgets, which are too expensive, need to reduce these operating costs. And it's not a silver bullet. They need a variety of solutions that can help. And so, yes, actively focusing on what's a way to cost contain. And if there are solutions they need to be educated on, yes.
So I'm curious, when you reflect on your role as CEO, what are the most emotionally draining or persistent challenges that you have to face?
I think it's really important to think about who my stakeholders are. And so I have a myriad of stakeholders. I have first and foremost our customers. We always start and end with the customer. Second of it, I have a responsibility to my investors who've put $200 million into the company. And third, I have a responsibility to our employees. And that responsibility comes to the employees, comes with communicating openly the vision, communicating career development, ensuring that employees are working on things that are both essential to the business, but also essential to their own personal growth, and making sure that there are open lines of communication amongst all of the teams. That is one thing that I have been taught by working in highly matrixed organizations. And I've brought that to R0, which was relatively new for a startup. To understand that product doesn't just work in a silo. Product has to work with engineering, has to work with marketing, has to interact with sales. And so I take that responsibility really, really strongly. I communicate through a company-wide all hands once a week. I send out a company-wide email every week. I do a board update via email once a week, and then we have board meetings periodically throughout the year so that there are no surprises, no good surprises, no bad surprises. Everyone's aware, and we're fully transparent.
That's great. And then are there any particular internal bottlenecks or capability gaps that you feel are slowing the company's progress?
I think in a startup, time is always your most important metric. And the amount of decisions that you can make and the speed and agility which you can approach the market. And time is not your friend. If you overly debate on the pace of a decision, you will be outperformed in market. And so we're very agile. We do 2-week sprints, as most engineering teams do. We do, of course, some processes in place in terms of annual and quarterly planning, but we really do have a cut line, and we challenge our technical engineering product and design teams to focus on outcomes, business outcomes, and products that change those outcomes. And so I think, ensuring that we ask people what's possible. I have pretty high standards, but I also believe that the team can reach those standards, which is, I'm really happy with our team. We have the best team for an engineering and operations, a supply chain. It's really important that the team feels empowered and enabled.
And if we were to sit down a year from now, what would success look like to you, and what are some big bets that you're placing to get there?
Yeah. So I think in a year, I would value all of us as getting a gold star if we were using AI to actually drive portfolio intelligence, meaning that business owners shift from managing individual buildings to actually real time portfolio wide optimization. I would want building owners to monetize their space as a dynamic asset, meaning leasing models evolve and long term commitments are not the long pole in the tent, but instead using real time space utilization to unlock new revenue streams through the form of like on demand, flexible, hybrid leasing options. I want there to be tenant customization that's seamless. So the expectations among tenants have changed in the past several years to be personalized, self adjusting. And most importantly, I want there to be grid interactive energy management, meaning that smart buildings don't just consume power, but they'll actively participate in the energy ecosystem. I think we are all facing an enormous period of innovation right now, and it's a pretty exciting time to be working in tech. And so for all of us to be solving mission critical problems like a lack of energy, which is only being exacerbated because of the technical adoption, is a pretty amazing moment in time.
And is there anything over these next 12 months, though, that are making you anxious when you look ahead?
I always get anxious. I go to bed reflecting on like what we accomplished well that day. And then I wake up anxious the next morning about what we could do faster. So, I think continuing to challenge my team to share the results of all of our pilots, get more proof of concepts that are land and expand opportunities, making sure that our large customers are always fully engaged and supported. We always focus on customer service and success. That's the most important thing, coming back to beginning and ending with the customer. I just keep that top of mind for myself every single day.
And so, one thing I like to ask at the very end is advice. So, what's one piece of advice that you would give to other leaders in this space or other tech spaces who are trying to innovate and grow right now?
I think probably the most important advice is have grit. And I have taken strength finders. That is my super strength that emerges to the top. I think if you put the hours in, you figure things out, you're always curious, you're not accepting status quo. Being an entrepreneur is really hard. We ask people to do Herculean things that have never been done before. And there's a reason why innovation breaks through. Otherwise, we would all be living with the same solutions that existed 100 years ago. So I would say like the days are hard for all entrepreneurs, but take a step back and think about what's the big picture that you're accomplishing and what are those, micro steps that you have to break up to get there, and then have that perseverance and grit to keep going in pursuit of the ultimate goal.
hmm And is there anything that you really wish, though, that someone had told you earlier in your journey?
I have a series of investors who I'm very fortunate to have. They're very committed to the business. And I'll turn the question a little bit. What they have told me that's been most beneficial is it's okay to be anxious about time. It's okay to always wish things were done yesterday, but make sure that every entrepreneur feels that way, that during the day you're feeling, I wish things are going faster, or you have these moments of doubt. And that's how the breakthroughs come. And companies aren't built overnight. My largest investor is the investor in Tesla. Tesla did not become an overnight sensation. It took a decade. So keeping that in mind, how long innovation actually takes.
It's really great advice and a great perspective. And if anyone wanted to learn more about R0 or connect with you, where's the best place?
Sure, of course. So you can come just to our website, which is r0.com. You can also link in with me. It's just Jennifer Nuckles. I'm happy to respond to any inbounds, answer any questions, talk to anyone in the community. I'm super excited about entrepreneurial journeys and what people are doing within the technical world, and always happy to help.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into Mo's Market Pulse. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a comment, and join us again to hear more insights from leaders coming up on future episodes. And thank you, Jennifer, for taking your time to be with us today.
Thank you, Sarah.